Welcome to the Perfectly Flawed podcast, where we share stories and conversations with amazing people who've achieved extraordinary success by embracing their struggles and imperfections. They've achieved what they have, not despite their perceived flaws, but because of them as well. On today's episode, we talk to Craig White about how he leads men's groups to re-understand what it means to be masculine in today's world. He was himself a former strength and conditioning coach and now works for World Rugby, but he's worked for Leicester Tigers, the British and Irish Lions, and many other top teams. And he also worked as a strength and conditioning coach for Liverpool Football Club. Despite that pedigree, he had a massive life-changing experience when he went on holiday to Thailand, and this led him to change the way he does everything and rethink his approach to performance. Okay, very warm welcome to you, Craig. Craig White.
Thank you, Deborah. It's so good to finally meet you.
It is fantastic. I have been on the receiving end of some fantastic coaching and life guidance from you.
Thank you.
And well, it was really a really special time. It made such a difference to me. And I know you normally work with men. I came across you because I saw an Instagram video of a group of men, big, burly rugby types, all dancing and just having an amazing time together. And I just thought, who is this person that's kind of creating a space safe enough for men to do this? And I know you normally work with men and not women, but that was what appealed to me because I had some challenges around the men in my life.
Of course.
And I wanted to have guidance through all of that. But also you have had an amazing, illustrious career from working in World Rugby for 14 years.
Yeah.
And you've worked with the British and Irish Lions. I think you've worked with Liverpool Football Club
when I was very young,
Very young, strength and performance coaching. You came from rugby league originally.
Yeah.
So you've worked a lot with people at, in a way, a very male and what would be seen as sort of the ultimate kind of masculine end of sports.
Yeah.
And now something must have happened in your life that has brought you sort of almost full circle. You're still working with the same people, but in a very, very different way.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm really excited to find out.
Yeah, me too. I mean, in a nutshell, I was raised to be very, very warrior-like and very, very masculine.
Right.
That's how I was raised, and that's what brought me a sense of achievement and a sense of love for mum and dad. And I was good at sport. I was good with my body. It gave me a sense of feeling good enough. I got bullied a little bit at school, and I had a loving yet often patriarchal mother who actually helped me to stand up for myself, and I thank her for that. It might sound a bit extreme, but if I got bullied at school, she'd knock on the door of the child and make us fight, you know.
Right.
So I grew up kind of really kind of putting a mask on, if you like, or showing to the world this linear, dominant, capable, masculine man that was really good at sport. And
but before we go into the next stage, I just want to say about that with your mother asking or getting you to fight. Do you think that's the right way?
I don't know if it's the right way, and I don't know if it's the wrong way.
Yeah.
But in a way, I'm thankful for it.
Because I say that because I've got an 11-year-old son, and I always say to him, don't be the first to pick a fight. But if somebody is physically punching or doing something to you, it's absolutely okay to defend yourself.
Yeah.
And I think this is a message which is not one I had as a woman, that it's okay to defend yourself, but as a man, I think it seems particularly important. And I mean, as a strength and conditioning coach from rugby, you would want people to be able to hold their own and fight back, not people that
Yeah.
that give way. So that's an interesting one. So you
Yeah.
learnt to fight from your mother, not your father. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, my mother, she's still alive. I have an amazing relationship with her. She's triggered me over the years, but right now, when I'm with her, there's nothing in my body. I've just got love for my mother, and she fiercely loved me, my mother. But the word is fierce.
Right.
You know, if we look at the polarity of loving expression, you know, on one hand, the gentle, nurturing, sensitive side, and on the other hand, you know, the kick up the backside. I got a lot of that from my mother. She loved me fiercely, but there wasn't a lot of sensitivity. So I learned to repress, if you like. I always remember feeling sensitive as a kid. When I can go back there now and feel, you know, this gentle child, playful, smiling, but I kind of lost that in my teenage years. And looking back, I repressed everything that wasn't deemed to be masculine. You know, I was into weight training from a very early age. Everything was linear. I was a hard worker. I trained hard because I thought I'd be a professional rugby player. I downloaded, which is probably the toxic side of sport. I downloaded that women were to be objectified and women weren't friends, and the classic, really. I actually downloaded the classic hyper-masculine expression of manhood.
And where was your father in all of this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. My dad was working 7 days a week sometimes. He worked on the railway, my father. My father was a sensitive soul. I do remember him actually being playful when he felt safe enough to do so. So there's a playful side in me that I got from him that I'm really grateful for. But outside of that, he just worked all day. A memory of my dad, apart from the playfulness, that is a memory, but another memory that stands out is I'd often walk home from school when I was at high school, and he'd be walking home from work, and I'd see this tired man who just went home and sat on the TV and smoked and just watched TV. And I actually thank him for that, because I chose to do the opposite. I chose not to be like that and not to live like that. You know, I wanted to live.
To have more purpose, maybe.
Yeah.
It sounds like he didn't feel he had anything
Yeah.
worth living for.
Yeah.
And
He didn't model to me a vocation that he loved, that's for sure. And I've definitely done the opposite, because I love my vocation. I just love it. It's a love affair. But he did, his purpose was to raise me, really.
Yeah.
But the only way he knew to express love was through cleaning my rugby boots the night before the game, coming to see me at all the games, which I respect, and pulling me out the shit financially. You know, he was a provider financially. I'm so grateful for that. That was his way of loving me.
Yes, and for many men, that's their way of loving their family and son or children, isn't it? To be a great provider, and to come and watch the sport and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I see you today as a man who, I know you've just come back from living in Peru, and your eyes are sparkling, and you're excited by life, and you've told me that you've got many more chapters to go. But what happened? Because did you reach a point where you were a little bit like your dad? Do you think? Have you always had all this passion and spark?
I always thought I'd be a professional rugby league player, and it almost happened, and I had opportunities, but something drove me towards coaching. I feel like I'm destined to be in service to people. And I never stopped till I was a doer. I was training every night as a late teenager. There was no room in my life for anything else. It was all rugby. And then I became a rugby coach, and I coached at the highest level. But about 16 years ago, my wife at the time, Marta, she begged me to go on a yoga retreat with her. and I'll talk about that. And it just seems like it happened now, but it was actually the most significant month in my 53 years on this planet. We went to do a yoga retreat in Thailand. It was a month-long yoga retreat. It wasn't a detox retreat. It was a full-on yoga retreat. And now, at the time I was working for Wales, the Welsh Rugby team, I was head of performance. This prestigious job, decent money. I was at kind of late 30s. And I went to Thailand, and it was totally out of my comfort zone. There was a Swami wearing orange. The teachers wore white. There was yoga 3 times a day. There was breathing exercises. There was purification practices. It was a tantric yoga school, so we learn about connection to all things really, not only ourselves and each other, but just connection to life. And there was lectures every evening that blew my mind, absolutely blew my mind. Every single night there was a 3-hour lecture on yogic philosophy and the technology of yoga and the energetics of yoga, and lectures on the different bodies that we have as human beings, our connection to the quantum field, the microcosm, the macrocosm, yogic approach to healing, relationships.
Were you skeptical as you heard all this?
Yeah, but it blew my mind. I remember being in my room every night typing my notes up. But the practice, the physical practices, the postures, the flow, the sun salutations, the breathing, the meditation, for the first 2 weeks, it was hell for me. I couldn't keep still. I was just itching. I couldn't keep my eyes open. I'd go out for a piss 3 times, pretending, but really I was just disassociating from my feelings. And then something happened in week 3. All of a sudden, I could be still. And my attention wasn't in a story. My attention was here. And I experienced stillness like never before in my life. And I experienced a feeling of expansion, a feeling of oneness. I experienced a deep feeling of bliss and love and happiness, and it's like my heart was popping out my chest, and I started to ask the questions, wow, who am I? What is life about? What is the life I've been living? Who could I be? Am I more than this body? And on the flip side of that, because I'd touched my subconscious mind, I'd gone into my subconscious mind, anger came up, grief came up, sadness came up. Why was I angry to parts of my mother? Why was I disappointed with my dad? Why did I hate my brother so much for bullying me as a kid? Why did I disrespect women, which was big for me? I look back in my life and I thought, wow, where did I learn this from? Who taught me this? How have I treated women? How have I sexualized women? Why do I try and dominate women? And so on one hand, I'm excited by the potential of life, and on the other hand, I'm thinking, you need to sort your shit out, Craig. There's stuff you need to unravel, there's stuff you need to understand. You need to go on a journey of self-discovery.
Was there a sense of shame about those things?
Of course.
Yeah. But why did you go in the first? I mean, why did you go with your wife?
I went in the first place because there was something inside of me that was deeply seeking the meaning of life. I didn't tell anybody. From the age of 19 to the age of 30, if you looked in my library, you would see books on Hare Krishna, midlife, afterlife, Buddhism, spirituality, but I didn't tell anybody. I was just this closet seeker.
Right.
Even when I worked at Leicester Tigers as a head of strength and conditioning, and I used to sometimes go to the Hare Krishna Centre at the weekend. I didn't tell anybody. My mum would have killed me for that, but I was drawn to the vibrancy of the community, the chanting, how they ate food together. I remember going to the meditation centre in London. I remember going to the Kabbalah centre in London. I was seeking for a number of years until I went on that yoga retreat, and the seeking turned inwards.
So it was a secret life. I love that.
Yeah.
It was, you were seeking outwards, and then that's what flipped it.
For sure.
And blew your mind.
What flipped it is what flips it for a lot of us.
Yeah. Is
a midlife crisis. I went back to Wales and I was like, what am I doing? but I'm on 130 grand a year. How can I leave? But what am I doing? My soul, whatever you want to call it, my inner GPS system, my divine, my evolutionary kind of push from life was saying, you need to get out.
Yeah.
So, but it took me a year to get out, and I left 10 months before the World Cup in 2011, and we went to live in Thailand to study yoga.
I mean, that is huge courage. So many of us live our lives with the knowledge deep down that there's something more, or there's a different way, but just choosing to live by what your soul is yearning for is maybe the biggest courageous thing we can do in our lives, isn't it?
Yeah.
To acknowledge what does our soul want and live our life according to that, not according to what's out there.
100%. And it's a tricky time because I often attract guys in my job that are at that door. But there's two doors. You know, if they ignore it or they don't have guidance, they might open the black door, which is, you know, more work, more addictions, darkness, alcohol, porn, violence, depression, suicide, or they go through the white door, which is the door of opportunity. Wow, I've got a chance to redefine who I am here and redefine my values and reclaim my feelings and learn how to feel and become a better dad, become a better husband and so on. But how to do that? So that's where I come in, and that's where my work comes in, to help guys to navigate the white door of transformation.
Do you think all your years of being a strength and conditioning coach, which was obviously something those men standing at that door are familiar and comfortable with, do you think that's helped you to be able to communicate and guide them through that, because it's something they can trust?
Yeah, 100%. I was only talking to a potential client yesterday, and I said to him, what do you see in me? And he said, well, I was attracted to you because you've got a high performance side to you, but I can also see the journey that you've been on, and that's the journey that I want to go on. I want to, his words were, I want to become more of myself, and I want to become much more than this high performer that can't switch off. You know, I want to connect more deeply with my daughter and my wife, and otherwise I'm going to lose them. So I just love what I do, and the fact that I attract men that realize that they are very masculine and they can build things successfully, and they are very process driven and linear, and they can get shit done in the world, but they're listening to the deep calling within them and seeking help, and that's music to my ears. But it's also a scary place as well.
I mean, I read somewhere that we need to build up our ego and our personality up to a certain level in the world to be robust enough to deal with it, so that we can then allow our soul to shine through. If we don't do that work first, and you know, there are many sensitive types out in the world that, you know, start by really expressing their music or their art or their that they have their self-expression up front, and it becomes very difficult to survive in this world that is pretty brutal. I mean, I live in London. You know, I mean, but in many cities and in many fields, life is it can be quite brutal. We need to be robust enough. We need to have that ego strength and that sense of maybe achievement in a way that, you know, we have to join consensual reality. I mean, I took the opposite path because I was very much working in a therapeutic field, and the material side wasn't working. So I felt I've got to go and join. You know, I knew it wasn't true, but people that were just worried about what you earn and money. I went into the city and worked with people in financial services. And it was, you know, at the age of 35, I got my first job doing that, and it was pretty brutal, but I just put my soul on hold and did that because I wasn't living the other way. So I think what you're doing is you've learnt, you know, the skills of being a guide and a coach and a mentor for people already, and then you're able to take them through a very terrifying unmarked territory of a new place, which is so much more rewarding. So who are these men that come to you?
Wow. I tend to attract guys between the ages of 45 and 65. They all love rugby. I can't say I love rugby. I love the men of rugby. And I love the fact that because of my background, I can create safety with the men of rugby. And from that place of safety, magical transformation can happen. But my clients love rugby. They love that about me. Most of them are relatively successful in business. You know, they've switched on that masculine energy. They've built something. They're good at putting systems in place. But thankfully, they all have this burning desire to be present with the family, to be more present. Even if they've been married for 30 years, you know, there's this burning desire. You know, I want to be more present with my wife, and I'm listening to her now when she tells me that I'm on my phone too much or I'm not there for my kids, and I want to finally listen, and I want to be more present, and I want to feel more, and I want to be more present with my kids, but I don't know how to do it because I'm on overdrive, and my nervous system is on subtle fight or flight constantly. So they've all got different stories, but that's the typical client of mine. And I just help them to stop, and I help them to recharge, and I help them to go deep and reclaim what life told them it wasn't safe to express. On my journey, what I realised, and it's a message for everybody really, is as I've evolved, especially over the last 15 years, and I've reclaimed parts of myself that I would never have shown as a kid, I don't lose anything. Like, I'm more sensitive now than I've been in my life. I'm more spontaneous. I've slowed down. I'm softer. But hey, I will never lose that masculine rock. I will never lose my backbone.
Yeah.
And that's a message to men. You know, when you go on this journey of learning to reclaim your emotional life, learning to be connected, less triggered, learning to be vulnerable, you don't lose your backbone. We don't lose anything, we just reclaim.
Yeah, you get greater, or you expand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what is more, I mean, even a woman with a man, irrespective of what that man looks like, I mean, what could be more safe for a woman to feel when they're with a man that is grounded, is connected to something greater than him, he's got backbone and you can't push him over, but he's got a soft front and a soft heart. I mean,
well, I was going to say, I mean, as a woman, having a man that is strong enough to allow you to unfold.
Yeah, I like that. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, to not force you or push you, but they'll stand there and be gentle and open and can hold you.
Yeah.
Not too tight.
Yeah.
But not too loosely,
Yeah.
and strong enough. Strong arms.
Yeah.
I love that idea of having a backbone. I'm sort of thinking of, there's animals that are so, that are strong, but they're also soft and gentle.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need to be both.
And even these metaphors that I just used about the ground and connection to something greater than yourself, backbone, soft heart, vertical in the world, that can be practiced. 70% of my work is physical. It's somatic. I've actually just described to you one of the meditations that I use with men, where we get them to stand as a group and to keep bringing their attention to the ground, reflecting on the ground and what is stable and secure and consistent for them, and where they can show up with more ground. And then we get them to move the attention up to contemplate the unknown, the galaxies above them, and have a connection with the unknown aspect of life, and connect with the verticality of the body, and feel the backbone and the past and all their ancestors behind them, and then they bring their attention to the front and they soften. We get them to really soften with the breath and soften the body and hold all these components, and then come into the heart and really relax the breath. And so even that, if a man did that for 21 days for 20 minutes a day, and he had to hold the ground, hold his verticality, connect with spirit, remember his ancestors, connect with his soft front, and contemplate who he's going to be 1 year from now. And that's just one practice that I do with men. I have many. Because men don't really want to talk a lot, you know. But when you get them into the body and they feel the power of themselves within the body, and they reclaim their energy, and they can breathe more freely, and it's incredibly powerful. So 70% of what I do is somatic, and about 30% of what I do is talking. And I do believe it's what men need. I mean, I'm women to a degree, but we're just talking predominantly about men today.
Well, I think as well, when you talk about men wanting to feel their body, it makes me wonder how that's different from them feeling their body through sport. How is it a different thing?
I'm really glad you've asked that question, Deborah, because it's such an important topic, this. And my answer is subtle, but the subtle difference means everything. And it's a question of where you put your attention. So if I'm going to the gym every day, right, but I use the gym to distract from what I'm feeling, or I use the gym as a way to forget about my life, then I might get a bit more muscular and a bit more confident, right? But it doesn't do anything for my emotional intelligence. But if I want to cultivate a deeper relationship with my body and my feelings, and I don't want to meditate, and I don't want to go on these retreats, and I don't want to learn how to dance, but I love going to the gym, it's all about intention and where you put your attention. So if I'm working with a client that loves to go to the gym, but he expresses a desire to go deeper on the inside, I teach him to actually consecrate before he trains.
What do you mean by that?
So he goes to the gym, he closes his eyes, or he journals, he puts his hand on his chest, he thanks life for his body, and he prepares to go into a sacred temple, right? It's like a meditative practice. It's his yoga, you know, and there's no phone. He goes into the gym, and every time he's doing these exercises, it's no different to being on a meditation cushion. His mind wanders, it brings his back. His mind wanders, it brings it back. So, you know, if I'm doing a bench press and my intention is to feel everything, and with my attention, I'm bringing it back into the body. I'm not thinking about what I'm doing in 20 minutes time, and I'm pressing, and I'm feeling everything, and I'm feeling the body that God's given to me. And I close my eyes and I sit on a bench and I meditate in between sets. It's a completely different ballgame. Because I'm using the gym as a way to recapture my attention, which is another way of meditating.
Yeah.
So it depends on your intention and where you place your attention, and that means everything. Because our attention's here.
Yeah.
Our attention's here, number one, because most of us, not everybody, but most of us, for whatever reason, and as kids, we've disassociated from our feelings. It's safe. We think it's safer to put our attention here. And as we know now, advertising companies, social media, they're targeting our attention.
Yeah.
So we all need some kind of practice of bringing our attention back so we can feel safe again in the body. No?
Yes, I mean, meditation can take place anywhere, as you say, and if it's around our physical pursuits that we're doing anyway, then it's keeping it really, really contained.
It's real, isn't it?
Yeah. So you are also still working currently doing strength and conditioning?
It's not really strength and conditioning. It's more, it can include that.
Yeah.
But in my work with the World Rugby, especially in South America over the past 10 years, like I'm known as this kind of team connection guru, this like mental skills. But I like to just frame everything under leadership
Yeah.
because it's less invasive. What does mental mean anyway? And and I find that guys resonate with leadership. I even made a big decision a year and a half ago. I had two brands. I had Men Without Masks,
Right.
and I had Craig White Mentoring.
Right.
And I even decided a year and a half ago to forget about Men Without Masks. A lot of guys said, you can't get rid of that. I loved everything that you did. I love your retreats. And I moved everything under my personal brand because I believe that the men that I attract, they resonate with leadership. They want to be better dads, leader. They want to be better sons to the mums and dads. They want to be better husbands. They want to be better friends. They want to be better CEOs. They don't want to come on a retreat and say, I've got an addiction. I've got a mental health problem.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't want to do it from a problem frame. They want to do it from where they desire to move to.
Exactly.
A high performance frame.
That's a really good way to put it. You know, they don't want to say, I'm crap in the bedroom. I'm just a performer. I want to be more present. But they want to be better leaders.
Yeah, and be the best fathers. They can be the best husbands, the best, I don't know, community leader as well.
So being the best is important for men.
Yeah.
But I want to reframe it, and you know, it's being the best this way.
Your way. You can
and unique to him as well, because
Yeah.
everyone's different. We're incredibly unique.
Well, this is sort of one of the ideas with Perfectly Flawed, is to understand that there isn't some sort of perfect ideal out there for any of us, but we've all got this kind of, you know, statue of who we think we should become, and that's our perfect idea. But what if instead we go, where are my flaws and what's wrong, you know, not what's wrong with me, but where do I not live up to that, and how is that even more interesting and unique? I mean, you've just shared your story, and your story is so powerful, because I'm sure people connect with you because they understand that you were a man that wasn't who you wanted to be. And you kind of went through that shame that you talked about. You had to face some stuff that is really uncomfortable to face, and that's where courage comes in. Facing your flaws, facing the things that you go, that wasn't good. But maybe also facing some of the things which you still have now. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to put thoughts into you, but maybe I believe it seems like an ongoing practice that you're still accepting your flawed self. You're not saying I'm perfect, or you're not saying I'm a perfect guru who's got it all right.
Perfect at all. I mean, I'll give you an example. My intimate relationship ended. I was in a 9-year relationship. It ended about, well, it kind of ended about 16 months ago, but we split 12 months ago. And then I decided to be celibate. And I decided to work with a therapist every 2 weeks with a friend of mine as well. He was single. And we created this container called we called it the Sacred Pause. And it was purposely designed to bring intimacy into ourselves, but also to assess how we showed up in relationship, what we brought, where we were still triggered, in what ways we didn't make our partners feel safe, what we want in a future relationship, how we're going to show up. And it was tough but beautiful. There was role play scenarios, and one of the areas that I still want to show up better at is in the interface between me and my intimate partner, when she's bringing a level of disappointment, or she's making a request, or she's pointing something out in me that she wants me to do better, or she's saying no, or she's expressing disappointment, because I realised that I was still being like my dad. You know, I was still behaving, not all the time, because I have this quest to always be better, but I was still sometimes doing what he did, which is what a typical man would do, where we feel like we're being judged, we feel like we're being attacked, we feel the shame inside, we can't be with our feelings, and we either fight or we flight, or we flip it back, or we go on the defensive. I'm sure you've experienced this, and I didn't like that about myself, and it's one of the reasons my ex gave to why she was starting to feel unsafe. Um, so I've been working on that, you know, as much as I can with role play scenarios, and I'm really excited by my next relationship because I have such a deep intention to be in the fire of those feelings and not project it and not run away, and be grounded with it, be connected with it, and transcend the patterns of my male ancestors.
That's, I mean, that's so beautiful and powerful. And what one of the things that I thought of when you were saying that, you called it the sacred pause,
Yeah,
which is often what menopause is called, and you're 53.
yeah,
And we talked about how women have bodily rituals or initiations, initiations that then come with ritual.
yeah,
Men don't have these physical
yeah,
bodily ones, but for you to call it the sacred pause,
yeah,
as a 53-year-old man,
yeah,
similar to a woman going through menopause, and also confronting a whole new level of emotions and feelings that come out, is such a kind of a wonderful mirror of
yeah,
what's going on
yeah,
in kind of both. I'm 53 as well.
yeah. And I'm so glad I did it.
Yeah.
In the beginning, when my friend asked me, I was like, "What? Are you serious?
Yeah.
I love being in a relationship."
Yeah.
And then something dropped heavier than that. It's like, wow, I need to do this. I don't think I'm needy, but I am needy. And it was also a process of being more intimate with myself than ever before, so that I'm less needy in the outside world with my close relationships. And like I said, I know that because I have an intention to transcend those patterns, what life does, it gives you a challenge to prove you can do that, and I'm looking forward to that.
I think the other thing that struck me, with all that you're saying, is about a woman feeling safe to be where she is. And I think so often, a woman, or I just have to speak sort of from myself, but there's a sense which we have to have a brittle exterior. We have to have something guarding us because we don't feel safe. We might be attacked, or we might be not attacked in any physical way, but just, it might be verbally, or it might just be a bit of energy that's a bit sharp. And so we become brittle ourselves, and we become, and so we're also living from that place of defense and being hard on the outside, hard on the outside and soft in the middle. But how, I think this unfolding idea is when we can feel safe enough to not feel hard on the outside, and commune with the man that we're with, or the partner that we're with. We're talking about male female dynamics here, and because we're talking about it from a sort of heterosexual perspective. I can't really speak so much on the other ones from experience, but so I think that's I don't really have a place to go from that, other than I wanted just to talk about the different phases of a man's life and how we can put in that bodily initiation that you talked about. How can we do that?
I mean, I actually believe that that's what the midlife crisis is. It's a deep evolutionary calling from life to turn the gaze inwards from cognition, mental stories, made-up stories, faulty perceptions, and then turn the gaze back in towards the innocence of the body, and the presence of the body. The body's always in presence. The mind is always in past, future. So I actually, in my experience, I think that is the essence of the midlife crisis. for us all to come home to the body,
Mm.
however we choose to do that.
Do you think men don't feel safe in the world today to just be who they are?
I mean, it's not only men, is it? But that's the reason for the mask. That's the reason for the strategic behavior. It's all a cover up of deep insecurity and a deep feeling of unsafety. So yeah, I think a lot of men don't feel safe in the world.
Mm. And that's where I know you don't call it toxic masculinity comes from, but how is it that you talk about it, and why is it that you wouldn't use these terms, toxic masculinity?
I mean, the classic description of a toxic man or toxic masculinity is related to violence. You know, violence which comes from himself, but is projected out onto the world. Verbal violence, physical violence, destruction of the planet. So my belief, and I'll come on to why I don't like the word toxic in a minute, but in relation to this description of the toxic expression of masculinity, you know, violence, domination, aggression, bulldozer, workaholism, disrespecting of women, I win, you lose.
Yeah.
It's all because we can't feel. It's all because of disassociation. It's all because of what we conditioned around emotional expression as a man, and the lack of, or the danger of, men don't do that. Because there's a great documentary out at the moment. It was produced by a friend of mine, and it's called Boarding on Insanity. Are our leaders traumatized? So it's about boarding school, but really it's more about the establishment and the way that men are raised in our system, in our institutions. And the essence of it is that as a man, as a leader in the world, if you can't feel and be intimate with and allow your emotions to move through you, you will tell lies, you will manipulate, you will deceive, you will control, conquer, and divide. You will abuse your power because you don't know the effect of your consequences. You don't know how it makes other people feel. You have no idea because you're ruling with logic.
Yeah.
So if a man can't feel, we're going to continue to exploit this planet. And we're going to continue to lie to each other and manipulate each other for the benefit of our leaders. So, again, feelings, learning to feel is everything. But it's not easy.
So what would you call it then, if you're not calling it? What would you call... I mean, for me, I think we need to re-embrace masculinity. We need to say it's okay to be a man.
Yeah.
There's obviously, there's a lack of a clear idea for a lot of young men as to what it's like, what it's okay to be. You can be kind of metrosexual, you can be, you can be very open. I know a lot of men feel that they're oppressed and they're always the one blamed in the workplace, or put as the white male person is seen as the kind of the baddie even before they've done anything wrong. And that's a big crisis for a lot of people who are completely innocent parties who have grown up in the world that we're now living in. So those men need a safe place to express their masculinity, for want of a better word. They need a place to be men and to be male.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that really kind of attracted me to your work, because I thought you're providing something for men, a new or an ancient way of saying,
of initiating.
This is who you can be as a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And coming back to what you said about toxicity, the toxic man, I prefer an uninitiated man, an unintegrated man. I'd like to make a comment as well about emotional intelligence, because in our field, it's a term that's thrown about a lot. But it's such a tricky field, because we can't learn to process the wisdom and the intelligence of our emotion by reading a book on emotional intelligence by Daniel Goleman, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
We can't achieve emotional intelligence by listening to podcasts that talk about emotional intelligence. It's impossible. Our intellect, our cognitive intellect, can't help us to feel the wisdom of our emotions. The only way is through the body. And let me elaborate on that. If I'm your boss, or I'm your husband, and I've stuffed down my grief over the years, I didn't cry when my grandma died, I didn't cry when my best mate committed suicide because it wasn't safe, that's not what men do, and I just can't get in touch with grief. If you bring your grief to me, I don't know what to do with it. I'll feel threatened, I'll feel attacked, anger will come up. I won't be able to hold it for you, right? Same with my kids.
Yeah.
So from the level of grief, I'm not emotionally intelligent. If I've got a shitty relationship or a fearful relationship with my anger, and I don't know how to stay grounded with it and actually bring love and intimacy to it and feel it instead of giving it to you or running away from it. If you bring disappointment to me and you say, Craig, you said you're going to do that, you've not done that, I'll just flip it back on you. Or I'll run away. Or I'll get even angrier. If I don't admit that fear is in me and it's okay to be fearful, I'll shame my kids for being fearful. I won't let them be anxious. I'll treat it like an imposter. But my other belief is if we repress any emotions, we repress them all. If we repress grief, we'll never feel joy.
Yes. That reminds me of that lovely Khalil Gibran. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Khalil Gibran idea that the amount of joy we can hold is gouged into our soul by our sorrow. But yes, as you say, if we plugged that sorrow up, we've not allowed ourselves to feel it.
For sure.
How can we feel the full gamut of emotion? But we don't need to be afraid of our emotions. I think that's, as you know, I worked with people in addiction recovery, and that was, I don't know whether you did know that, but for 5 years I facilitated groups, and so much of that was unlocking that it's safe to feel. It's safe to feel everything you feel. Have you heard the Araya Mountain Dreamer poem?
Yeah, I can't remember it, but I have heard it. I think I might have used to read that on retreats.
There's a lovely line in that which reminded me of what you were saying, which is something like, I invite you to, will you stand in the fire and not shrink back, the fire of your emotions. Just stand there and be there. So emotional intelligence needs to be redefined,
Yes,
so that's what you were saying, is that it has to be, we can't intellectually learn it.
Yeah, even anger, if we repress our anger, we'll never feel real passion.
Yeah.
There's
not a good or a bad emotion, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
There is a response to it. How we respond to it is different, but we
imagine in school if we had a curriculum that taught kids that every emotion is like a superhero. And we spoke about the mechanism in the body, why they come up, We celebrated them, and we got kids to try on the emotions. The world would be a different place, you
Well,
know.
to feel safe with anger is a huge one. To
Yeah.
feel safe when you're feeling not out of control, you feel the anger, and you know you don't need to punch somebody or
Yeah.
smash a glass over their head at the pub,
Exactly.
or what you know, or just launch into a tirade with somebody. You can just
Yeah.
find the right way through
Yeah.
because it's okay. It's not, you're not out of control with the emotion.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
but to get better at this,
Yeah.
it's an embodied practice.
Yes.
School is too cognitive.
Yeah.
You know, it's an embodied practice. But
I mean, there is sport.
There is
and
sport,
there are the arts, and both
Yeah.
of those make an attempt. But what I mean, you know a lot about sport, so I still don't really understand kind of what's lacking in sport that can't be the vessel for people to understand how to express their emotions through it safely. I mean, rugby's a great one for aggression to be channeled in a safe way.
I mean, what I will say about rugby, because I know that and I started my career in rugby 3 years before it went professional, so I've seen the transition is on the outside. I don't know much about football, but I believe rugby is championing more wholeness right now. On the outside, you see these guys battling, but there's a lot of good stuff going on behind the scenes in some of these rugby teams, you know, around building community, mental health awareness, coaches being more emotionally intelligent so they don't get triggered when guys bring fear. They allow teams to be fearful. They talk about fear. They talk about grief. They talk about building safety as a family. You know, I do some work with Matty Peters, the head coach of Wigan Rugby League team, and I'm about to do some leadership work with the players, and it just blows me away. I believe, it's not an absolute truth, but I believe as a leader, let's say a male leader, like Matty, for example, who's working with young men, they can't be what they can't see. So he models everything to them. He models playfulness. He models the expression of disappointment. He models grief. You know, I've seen him share in a very sad way when his wife lost a child. He models joy. He models determination. He models everything to them from an emotional perspective. So the players bring everything as well.
And they can bring it, I guess, to the game, or they can bring everything in that, because it's safe to bring everything.
It's safe to bring everything.
Yeah, like an actor. I was saying to you earlier on about this director, and she was an actress who'd played all parts, but she felt safe because the director had made the frame around it of the stage, so she could play all these crazy parts, go there, like fully go there, because she knew it was safe. And we can all, if we feel that we're in a safe containment for it, we can fully go into all of our emotions.
Yeah, for sure.
Knowing it's safe, because then that's ended. The game's over, the bit of theatre's over, or in our own home or whatever it is, our moment, we have our moment to express, but we're not beholden to it.
Yeah.
We can give that time, put that time and space aside to fully experience what we're experiencing. And then there are other times where, I mean, it's not appropriate always to let it all hang out, is it?
Not at all, especially in sport, and that's where balance comes in. Sometimes it's foot down, process, we're building something, we've got to go for it, you know. There's a time and a place.
Yeah. The other thing I thought about was that you were saying about really connecting to our emotions, and I heard that we can only go as close to another person as we are prepared to go to ourselves. We can't have a more intimate relationship with anybody else if we don't have that level of intimacy.
100%. 1,000,000%.
Yeah. So that's the work for all of us, male or female. Our work is to really allow ourselves to be fully who we are, with compassion.
Yeah.
And not try to change not try to fix, not try to adapt, just say this is who I am.
For sure.
I'm flawed, I'm a mess, but I'm also very successful, and I'm also extraordinary.
Yeah.
And we have all these wonderful traits.
We have all these parts to us, and when we do that in a journey of self-intimacy, we stop destroying ourselves, stop destroying each other, and we'll stop destroying the planet. I don't even have a TV. Sometimes I think, should I have a TV? Should I know what's going on in the world? But I'm just without thinking that I'm better, because I don't. But I'm not one of these people that wants to save the world, because I realise it's an inner job. That's where my attention is. If I just continue to evolve and deepen and soften and reclaim all parts of myself and model that to the men and women I'm surrounded with, I think that's all I can do.
Yeah, as you say, you was talking about that other man who modelled it for those youngsters.
Yeah.
That's if each of us can just do that for ourselves, we are part of the web of everybody else. We're interconnected with so many people.
Yeah.
Particularly if you're in an influential position like you are, you're influencing other leaders who are influencing other people themselves. And, as you do that work, it spreads
For sure.
like wildfire through lots of people.
For sure.
So what is it that perfectly flawed means to you?
I think a sign of growth I'm not going to use self-development, because I believe there's something deeper than that. I believe we're all being nudged to keep evolving. But I believe a sign of growth on this evolutionary path is when we can laugh at ourselves, So being perfectly flawed for me is it's just accepting all my imperfections, but doing something about it as well. Accepting all my imperfections, accepting that sometimes I'm impatient, sometimes I'm incredibly patient, accepting that sometimes I'm incredibly responsive and I never get triggered, and other times I do get triggered. Accepting the polarity of life's experience, good, bad, up, down, pain, pleasure, gain, loss. And the relief of the realisation that I'll never ever be perfect. The relief of that,
Yeah. That, just as soon as you can let go of the need to be perfect.
Yeah.
I really felt that as soon as we can say, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect, and that's okay.
Yeah. I went on a public speaking course in London, and I'm going on another one with the same guy. It was a very somatic experience. It wasn't your classic public speaking course. It was all about the body and how the body shows up, and posture and attention, and we did this great exercise where we'd celebrate getting it wrong.
Oh, yeah.
We'd get it wrong, it'd be like everybody would be going, yes.
Yeah.
And that was really powerful,
I've done that, an exercise like that in improv as well,
Right.
where it's about, we were told, getting it wrong. When everyone gets it wrong, you cheer. That's the goal. The goal is to get it wrong, is to mess up.
Imagine doing that with kids.
Incredible. And so liberating. And as soon as we know it's okay to get it wrong and it's okay to get it right, then we can just go out and we can just do our best. It doesn't mean giving up, though, does it?
It doesn't mean giving up, no.
It's not relinquishing to, okay, I'm flawed, forget it.
Yeah. For me, if that imperfection feels like less safety in me or another one, I have to do something about it.
And I know that you do a lot of work with your younger self, or the little cells in each of us, the child, the inner child.
Yeah.
What would you say to the younger you?
what would I say to the younger me? I would say to him, you don't have to be perfect. I love you just the way you are. Respect women. Respect a woman's body. Respect your own body. Dance more. Paint more. Draw more. Sing more. Play an instrument. Love animals. And go wild camping in nature more often.
Craig White, it's been such a pleasure to have you here today. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on Perfectly Flawed.
Thank you for some brilliant questions, and thank you for listening so attentively and making it easy for me.
Thank you for listening, and thank you to Craig White for sharing with us that amazing story. I love how he talks about how his mind was blown when he was on the retreat in Thailand. It's fantastic when people see their whole life in a completely different way. And though it can leave us a little bit bamboozled for a while, maybe even a few years, eventually, when we gather up the parts and we see our lives in a whole new way, we find that we have new gifts to offer the world. And Craig already was offering so much in the way of performance to people in the field of rugby and football. And now what he's able to offer is something so much deeper. He doesn't just help with people's physical strength and conditioning, but he helps both with their mental and their emotional performance. And even more than that, it's fed through a really deep spirituality. I imagine that gets results in a way that nothing else can.